guys, Jennifer Tardy here. I'm your career success coach, and we are back on the Career Success channel for UPs, or underrepresented populations. And in today's video, I am going to share with you how you can knock out an interview that you've only received 24-hour notice on. And we've all been there. As a matter of fact, when people reach out to me, that is one of the main questions that they have. They will say, Jennifer, I have an interview coming up in 48 hours, in 24 hours, in a couple of days. Like, they will say that, and they'll say, Jennifer, I am freaking out. And I'll give them some tips. And these happen to be the same tips I'm going to share with you today. So make sure that you watch this video, stick through all the way through into the very end, because you don't want to miss my favorite segment, which is the Career Success bonus tip for underrepresented populations. All right, you ready to get started? Let's go. So you've been invited into this interview, and typically the overly prepared person that you are, you would have spent hours and days and maybe even an entire week learning the organization, diving into the financials, like all of this stuff. And thank goodness you don't have time to do all of that right now, because in this scenario, you may have gotten an interview and it's supposed to happen tomorrow. It doesn't matter what type of interview it is. You just want to know what you can do as a crash course to landing this job. So this video is for you if you're looking for Cliff's Notes. Cliff's Notes on what to do if you only have 24 hours left to plan for your interview. Now, once you're done watching this video, keep in mind, and like I told you in the last few videos, that we've just added a new course to Career Success University, and it's called Offer Magnet Interview. And if you're looking for it, just go to jennifertardy.com/interview, and you will find that course there for you. All right, that's enough. Let's get right into tip number one. Tip number one, which is an extremely, extremely important tip, is that you know what type of interview you are preparing for. It is truly important that you know, because you may be having a pre-screen, but you may be trying to prepare as if it's your final on-site in-person interview. And it's two very different experiences. If you watch last week's video, you will see that there are typically a couple of interviews that happen before you get invited on-site, and you'll see that there are different interviews that happen after you come on-site. And the pre-screen, which is probably what this interview is, if it's happening so quickly, only lasts about 15 to 20 minutes. If it only lasts 15 to 20 minutes, then you don't have to do a lot of preparation. The only thing that you really need to do to prepare is to go and watch that last week's video. Tip number two, if you have an interview coming up in 24 hours, the next thing that I would tell you that can help you in your preparation for this video is to study your resume and know your narrative. So tip number two is know your narrative. Spend more time in knowing yourself, know thyself, than in trying to look into the financials and the initiatives and things of that nature for the organization. It is really important because in the interview, they want to know about you, and you have to be on it like that to be able to answer questions about you, your knowledge, your skills, and your experience. So if you only have to do a crash course, make sure that you can easily recall your knowledge, skills, and experiences as laid out in your resume. Okay, got it? Tip number three. In order to prepare for an interview that's happening within 24 hours, make sure that you have an understanding. I already told you in the first tip to make sure that you know what type of interview that you're going into. But with this tip right here, make sure that you know what the agenda is going to look like that day for your interview. Make sure that you know, for instance, how long within the day, how long will your day be? Let's say it's an on-site interview, and you're going to be interviewed by 4 people. Number 1, it's great to know that you're going to be interviewed by 4 people. Number 2, if 2 of those 4 people are going to interview you at the same time, it's great to know that as well, because you can then prepare for what is a quasi-pair, maybe even a panel interview. If one person is going to interview you for only 15 minutes and the other person is going to interview you for 90 minutes, that's important to know. If a person is going to interview you over lunch, that is important to know. But with this tip number 3, learning what your itinerary looks like, the more you know, the better you can be laser focused in your preparation, okay? So if you can only do a couple of things to prepare for this interview within 24 hours, I would put this in the top priority. So, the more you know, the better you're able to show up on the day of. So let me ask you, have you heard anything so far that you've been like, whoa, I didn't even think that I should have done that? If you did, tell me in the comment section below. I'm curious to know what has stood out to you so far. And then I'll respond to you. We'll really get some responses to you. Okay, so let's get back to it. Tip number 4. In addition to learning what your itinerary or your agenda is going to look like that day, find out, if you can, who will be interviewing you. Best case scenario, you can get their name, their title, and where they fit into the hierarchy in the organization. But odds are, you're probably not going to get all of that. They are probably, scrambling to put together the interview anyway if it's within 24 hours. But find out as much as you can. What roles are typically involved in this hiring team? Is it going to be your hiring manager and their boss? Is it going to be a peer? Are you going to have a peer interview? If you are, make sure that you check out a previous video that we did about peer interviews. So finding out what their role is within the company, meaning their job title, and if you can get their name, even better. If you can't get their name, then that's okay. But if you can get their name, then being able to do some research, like using LinkedIn to learn a little bit more about the people who are interviewing you, meaning how long have they been at the company, what their role is in the company. Even look at some of the feedback that people give in the recommendation section for that person. So you're trying to find common ground. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this tip because I have another video that talks more about learning about who's going to interview you. But for the sake of this video, if you only have 24 hours, make sure that you find out as much about the people that's going to be on the agenda as possible. Tip number 5, learn about what is most important to the organization. And I want to be very specific about this, because once I share this tip, this is when people go into analysis paralysis and analyzing the organization, or doing way too much research for the organization. And so you can find out a lot by looking at the company's annual statement. Plus, you can find out a lot by looking at the company's website. I'm a huge proponent in checking out the annual statement to find out what's most important to the organization by way of what initiatives they're focused on that year. But I'm also checking out the website where I can look at their pillars, if they have pillars, which is typically around the same area. They're talking about the mission of the organization, the vision of the organization. I'm looking at things like that. I'm looking at the diversity statement. So I'm looking at what's foundational for that organization, because the more that I know about that, number 1, the more I can see if I'm aligned for that organization very well. And number 2, I can begin to figure out how I can embed how I fit into that, or how I have experience working with those initiatives, or how I love working for an organization that focuses on diversity in this way. I'm able to embed those things into my responses during the interview as well too. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap, because I think that that's going to be really important. Overall. Number 1, understand what type of interview it is that you are actually preparing for. Number 2, really know your own narrative, know your own resume. Number 3, really make sure that you learn more about what your day is going to look like, what that itinerary, what the agenda is going to look like. Number 4, understand who is going to interview you by way of job title and things of that nature. And number 5, Understand what the biggest challenges are of the organization if you can find that out. Understand what's most important to that organization, whether it's the challenges, whether it's the initiatives, whether it's, the mission, vision, and values, pillars, things of that nature. But if it's only 24 hours, then that's it. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to study and prepare for. And then I'm done. I'm going to sit it down. And I'm going to spend more time actually visualizing myself being successful in that interview. And this is what I want to share with you as we lead into the career success bonus tip for underrepresented populations. You can spend a lot of time doing all of this research, all of this planning, all of this preparing, but if you don't even see yourself doing well during that interview, then odds are you're going to show up in that not so well way. So as the bonus tip for today, make sure that you spend some time visualizing yourself doing very well. And here's what it looks like to visualize yourself doing very well. Visualize, like think in your mind, see yourself, making a joke that they really get, that they love, and both of you guys are laughing. See yourself hearing the question that's coming from the interviewer and instantly feeling great because you know the answer that's coming from that interviewer and you're easily articulating that answer to the interviewer. See yourself feeling cool, calm, and relaxed and showing up well, showing up engaged, showing up prepared, showing up poised. See yourself in those moments and because if you only have 24 hours, you're probably going to feel nervous. I don't want you to do that. So visualizing helps to release some of that nervousness. Preparing in the specific ways helps that as well too. And then let it go and then show up well. So I hope that you've enjoyed the information that you've taken from today's video. And if you are also looking for another way to prepare for this interview too, I do have a gift for you, which is a free guide. It's the 25 common interview questions and top-notch answers that you can use to help you to prepare overall for different times in the hiring process. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell so that you can also be notified when we have new videos. As always, in order for us to be underrepresented no more, we must listen, engage, apply, repeat. Now, we must learn. And I'm Jennifer Tardy. I am your career success coach. I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Take care.